25 or email info@talklinecommunications.com.
Talkline's new 24-hour-a-day listen line is 712-770-0534. That's 712-770-0534. Listen online or in our listen line 24 hours a day. Enjoy. Thank you for listening.
TCN, Talkline Communications Network Radio, America's #1 Jewish program.
The preceding program is a paid advertisement. The opinions and views expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of AM 620 WSNR or its management.
This is AM 620 WSNR, Jersey City.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a Just Enough Heshy show. I have a lot to talk about tonight. We have a special guest that will be joining us on the show, a calling guest, a guy I know for many years, since when we were back in school. I don't even want to embarrass myself, 30, 40 years ago. Was it really 40 years ago? It's about that. He's going to call in. His name is Baruch Cohen, and he's going to speak, and I told you about it last week. He's going to speak on the topic of killer litigation, strategies for lawsuits, businesses, and a life avoiding chillul Hashems. That means, embarrassing ourselves and not making it, that we're just bad people. When you go out there, you can't just go to court and embarrass and make a fool of yourself. Baruch Cohen is an accomplished civil trial lawyer, an Orthodox Jew, an alumni of Chofetz Chaim Yeshiva, and a graduate of Southwestern Law School, whose civil litigation practices include all aspects of consumer and commercial litigation in California and federal courts, and of course in the Jewish court. Now I'm going to ask him a lot of tough questions as well as some personal stuff, so I'm hoping that I get some free advice out of him, Baruch. He's even admitted before the United States Supreme Court. He successfully litigated 250 commercial, business, and litigation cases. Now, I know most lawyers out there, they're all stupid, just for your knowledge. So I don't think he is. He's going to be one of the good ones. Hold on a minute. Hello?
Hi, Baruch.
Baruch, how are you? I was just talking about you, Baruch. I want you to know, I was telling people about you that you're also an author of 2 books, which we're going to get to. I was just telling people about you that you're an author of 2 books, and there's so much more that we're going to talk about, you and me. But Baruch, I didn't start our show yet, so you're going to give me a minute while I tell everybody, Baruch, I don't have any co-host this week, and I usually tell a joke and quote of the day, and usually they never laugh at it. I'm hoping that since you're my friend for 30-something years, you might maybe think it's funny.
Don't worry, I can roll with the punches.
Okay, but quickly, Baruch, we have a company called $25 Car Rental, a very nice man. He's located on 18th Avenue, Coney Island Avenue. You can get into a car Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. You can stay in that car for $25 as long as you want. Minivans for $35, and the guy helps call your insurance companies if you have accidents. His number is 718-851-2000 on the corner of 18th Avenue, Coney Island Avenue. $25 car rental. And then, of course, we have Tehila Tishla, ttstyles.com, TEHILA at TEETEESTYLES.com. Call her at 718-675-6842, 718-675-6842 for your hair, your wigs, your makeup, for parties, events, weddings. She's great. She's in big demand, and the prices are great. We also have technical difficulties. Avi Fleischer, a very nice man, 1504 16th Street for all your computer needs. Just a great guy, gets into your computer, fixes it all up. 718-259-4593. Now, this one you're going to like, Baruch. This guy is called 777 Barbershop. A wonderful guy. He has ramps. He takes care of handicapped kids from our hospital. He takes senior citizens, gives them special prices. You never see a guy who gives love to his community, especially a barbershop, who's so busy, and you make appointments and you have to wait for him. And sometimes I'm sitting there and he takes another handicapped person. He says, Heshy, sit back. And I just love him. He's located at 4225 18th Avenue, 718-484-2499. Then we have Chamula Jewelers. They're a family-owned business for 40 years. They're located at 944 Kings Highway, 718-336-1980. Chamula Jewelers, they have the sparkle for you. call them and make a special appointment if you want, 718-336-1980, or visit us at 944 Kings Highway, and you just come in there and have a good time. And then, of course, we have Green Line Building Solutions. We're located at 5318 16th Avenue. We'll help you with your plans, your permits, your filing. We make plans. We go to court for you, ECB. We help with evictions. We even help with criminal cases. And I want you to know, we're not like you, Baruch, but we do help people with small issues. Like I had a guy a month ago, who made a left turn before Yom Kippur. They arrested him. We got him out on the DAT. We went to court on Monday for him, and we got him lowered to some stupid violation with a $100 fine. So the cops just wasted our time. Anyways, everybody, those are our sponsors for the week, and we're going to talk to them again. We're going to talk to my friend Baruch in a second. But Baruch, you got to listen to this, okay? And I hope you like this. My quote of the day is, and really this is more for you, Baruch, because I was thinking about you. What you do today can improve all your tomorrows. And I know, Baruch, you've done a lot to improve a lot of people's tomorrows, and we're very proud of you. I'm so happy you're on our show, and we're going to talk to you about a bunch of stuff. Baruch, I need you to laugh at my joke. Is that okay?
It's fine.
It's coming.
I could chuckle. I could giggle or chuckle. What's
you
that?
could do usually nobody does anything, so just wait till I say it. Anyways, when I was in yeshiva, I can't say the name of yeshiva because my rabbis get angry at me. It was a guy by the name of Rabbi Trenk. He was my principal. And he caught me one day sneaking into class late after a basketball morning. All of us were playing basketball outside in the morning, and we all snuck in a little late. And he grabbed me and he started screaming at me in a loud voice, so all the kids in the hallways and classes could hear. And he screamed, Tischler, that was outstanding. And I said, oh, wow. I thanked him. Thanks, Rabbi. He then explained. He says, Tischler, you were outstanding in the sun too long. That's why your brain is fried. Wow, well, you're the first one that ever laughed at my joke. I love you. You're wonderful.
But I'm the only one on the air right now.
You're the only one in the air. I'm not going to pick up any calls till we finish. But I want to ask you a couple questions. And you know, being a lawyer, I don't respect a lot of lawyers because what I've seen throughout the years, and even me, sometimes the lawyers, they take their money, and I'm not knocking lawyers, but I know you guys are book smart. I know you've done research. Look at me. Every day the laws change at the building department. I have thousands of documents on my desk. If I don't come in for like you, or 4 or 5 days, you're in the field or in your courtroom, boom, your desk piles up with new laws, new changes, new motions. I was in court suing the city of New York for a bunch of people and myself. And the city just keeps postponing. Motions to postpone, motion to change a venue. When you agree, they tear you apart. 5 years later, you finally get before a courtroom and they want to again, the lawyers, half the courtroom, you're sitting there for 4 hours and at the end you just get an application postponed. And I went before the judge arguing. I says, I don't agree to this. I agree to everything, and now I'm going to argue everything motion. She says, well, Mr. Tischler, where's your answer? I said, she put in every single thing. We gave you an answer. She put in a bunch of motions. Now she wants to adjourn it again. I want this oral argument come. The judge heard my argument. She says, the argument is pretty good, Mr. Tischler. Just put it in any kind of reply, even though it's flimsy, and I'll think about it, and I'll adjudicate it on the next time. I said, but Judge, now you're making me come back again. And sometimes we get so exhausted, Baruch, of the costs, of the time, of the legal fees, that we just give up when we give into a settlement. And I just gave up for $5,000. It just wasn't worth it for me to come back. But a lot of people that I know, young people, can't do that. And the city and the government and these people, they change the laws that, some of these laws that the judges must follow, Baruch, and you also. You have to follow certain laws. My problem is half of these laws are created by legislators who don't even read the law. They pass the law. You guys are stuck because you have to follow the letter of the law, and these laws are not even agreed by other people. How do you do it, Baruch? How do you do it? And my first question to you before you go on is a very simple question. Most Orthodox Jews, and you too, we have there's a lot of problems in business, and there's problems with truth and integrity. Then how come if all these Jews are so honest and honorable, and you too, why are we getting arrested? What's going on? We're trying our best, and I know we make mistakes, but again, they don't give us a break, and we go to jail, we get arrested for stupidity. I know it's embarrassing and it hurts us, but you got to do something. What's your deal in this, Baruch? You hear my complaints, you hear my screaming and crying?
I hear it. I could feel it from across the country. I'm in Los Angeles.
And I want to ask you one more question, Mr. California. I am against marijuana. I don't know what your deal is, and I don't know what you're going to defend. Marijuana to me is a bad thing for kids. Now, all of a sudden, you lawyers and you politicians are changing the law. I mean, you can't do that. How are you making marijuana legal? Go ahead.
Okay, so you've asked basically three questions. The first is about the delay in justice, and it's a legitimate,
Not a delay, 5 years delay. I understand a month or two.
massive delay.
Massive delay.
I know that as a trial attorney, I can't get a trial within 3 to 5 years from when I file a lawsuit, and that means that it's going to be of a substantial cost to a client, and you have to factor that in before you commence litigation. And yes, it does necessitate settlements because many times it's not cost effective. And if you're an ethical lawyer, you know how to educate your client and advise the client and say, look, if we're going to take the road of litigation, you're going to have 15 depositions. You're going to have to hire experts at trial. It's going to cost you $70,000. And then you don't know whether you'll win or not. Factor in, the costs of whether you want to settle or not. That's what good lawyering does. And you shop for the right
I got
forum.
you, Burke. I got you on that. Let's just say I agree with you on your civil cases. Okay, no problem. Burke is my advisor, my lawyer, and he's telling me, listen, settle it because it's going to cost you whether you're right or wrong. This is the cheapest way, and I'm going to make a deal with you. But what happens when it's a criminal case and I can't settle? My ethics says no. My this college thing. You know about this college thing with these people arrested? So one lady made a deal, and she got 14 days in jail, got home 3 days early, 11 days for this college scam. This other lady, who I actually like, Gloria Loughlin, she won't make a deal. She feels she's not guilty. She's going to trial, and now the government, just to scare her even more, threw more charges. How could you make me settle that? I mean, what are you going to tell me? Tell me, Heshy, make a deal? I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go away from my family. I want to fight no matter what.
Right, and the reality is, in a criminal perspective, and I don't do criminal law, but you roll the dice when it comes to the criminal case. And if the client insists, the lawyer has to do what's called a CYA letter, if you understand what I'm saying, and say, look, I've advised you of your rights, you're disregarding my advice, and the client, in essence, rolls the dice if they want to fight, and that's the cost of doing business. And, we're not here to discuss the merits of the legal judicial system. Maybe it's better elsewhere. But quite frankly, my experience is that when you have a serious problem, you retain good counsel up front to perhaps cauterize the wound and to make sure you have the best shot of getting a fair trial as early as possible and not sit on your rights. Now, you asked the third question.
But before you go, I want to finish with this. So, you see, you are a good lawyer. So first of all, if we could afford you, that's number one. But number two, you're in California. My problem is over here. I can't hire Baruch Cohen because he's so far away. Forget about that. Ben Brafman, I want to hire him. The whole world wants to hire him. Before he talks to you, it's $1 million. I have a guy in jail right now that I go visit. I go to the jails every 2 weeks, and I visit, and I bring food, whatever. I try my best, and I bring the councilman. Now, this guy was not guilty. All the evidence pointed. The circumstantial evidence pointed even not towards him. One of his ex-girlfriends who did the murder, who didn't get any trial, whatever, the whole story, she pointed the finger at him. He couldn't afford a great trial. He was in jail for 3 years till he got to trial, and of course he lost because he didn't have a broker. I know you don't do a criminal, but he couldn't have filed a thing. And we tried to listen to you to make a deal, but the point is we can't afford it. We can, and we have to, and we let it go on for years and years. And even if we win the case, Baruch, they take away our passports. They make us suffer for 5 years, while the government wins 95% of their criminal cases. I mean, unless you have a high-priced lawyer.
It's the nature of the beast.
But it's not. So basically, when I drive down the street and I see a cop pulling me over, I got to be shaken.
No, I mean, if you're innocent, you're innocent. I know somebody who lives his life so decrepitly and so dishonestly that every single time he sees an LAPD car drive by him, he thinks they're coming for him.
Wow.
And that lends itself into the theme of today's discussion about what lessons we can learn from litigation to avoid Chil Hashems so that you're never in that situation, which lends itself to the third question that you asked, and that is how come we are getting arrested? How come our Frum Yidden are appearing on the front pages of the Daily News and the Post and the New York Times, handcuffed by the FBI? It's terrible Chil Hashems. And why is our community going astray? If you were to ask any one of these Chashuv Yidden, these honorable people in the morning as they're wrapping up their tefillin and talis in the morning, should you steal? He'd say no. Should you disparage others? No. And yet when it comes to business, somehow there's a double standard. There's a double standard where the pressures of our community are so intense, and everyone needs to make money, and and everyone's showing off how much wealth they have, and there's such a rat race, and everyone's competing, and everyone's trying to do, the best for their family. What do you do in such situations when the nisayon, when the temptation comes, and now there's a gray area? Should you sign that fraudulent loan application? Should you not? Should you lie to the federal government about, the benefits that your school is getting? And what I keep finding in litigation is that it always boils down to a moment of choice. And that moment of choice is factored in and weighed in by external influences that our community needs to change. That if we can actually start educating our community in a proper way to perhaps change the mindset, to say, I'll give you an example. The United States government is not the enemy. We're not operating in pre-World War Europe, pre-World War II, where you have to lie, cheat, and steal in order to get your passport to get the family away from doom. We have a country of laws. When we don't bother adhering to the law, when we don't bother knowing the law, when we discourage legitimate business, when we don't even want to go and serve on a jury, right? We're sending messages to our kids that the government is the enemy, they're the enemy, and therefore I hear this rationalization everywhere. It's okay to cheat because it's the government.
See, I got you, and you're 100% right. But now let me switch it to you. You know who Bernie Madoff is. I mean, I'm talking to you now as a dumbbell layman. You're a smart lawyer with the fancy words, but I'm not too smart. So Bernie Madoff is a con man, and he didn't con one person. He conned people like me, actors, lawyers. We don't know the law because I was telling people 2 months ago, our city council and our assembly, I'm not even talking about your city, passed 40 pieces of legislation that nobody knows about. So are you telling me, are we ignorant of the law? Yes. Every minute another law pops up that we don't know about. Our tax laws change constantly. Bloomberg, and I don't know if you like him, but this idiot was our mayor for 8 years. He incorporated a law, something called stop and frisk. Did you ever hear of this?
Yes.
Okay. So he pulls people over on the street, about 55% blacks, 35% Latinos, about 8% white. I was in Harlem when this happened to my crew, which was mostly black and Latino back in the late 90s and all the way through the mid 2010, 2011. So you're talking my boys were stopped quite a bit. And sometimes, they were found with a joint or they were found with a knife that they cut boxes with. And we were on a job site and you should have seen them. Heshy, pick up your hand, stand against the thing. And they were scared. Now Bloomberg, 20 years later or whatever, 10 years, is apologizing. How many people suffered and went to jail? You're going to say, well, Heshy, they should have known the law. They shouldn't have done something bad. They shouldn't have made that left turn. I have a guy in jail that last week before Yom Kippur, went to jail because his license plate expired. It's a big chil Hashem, because all the non-Jewish people saw how he was getting arrested, cuffed on the street because his license plate expired. His license was from out of town, so after 6 months, he had to get a new one. He didn't know that because he was from Israel, and boom, we had to get him out of jail. These laws that are made, and you're smart because you're constantly updating them. But guys like me who are dragging garbage, fixing up our houses, working 15-hour shifts, working in the hospital, doing our volunteer, we can't be updated and know the laws.
Yeah, but let me respond to that.
I'm going to let you. And what about the guys who con us? We're so stupid. They con us to sign that paper. Your boy Donald Trump that I love and you love, or I hope you do, even if you don't, makes no difference. Got in trouble for filling out forms so the Department of Building wasn't even him as expediter and checked the wrong boxes. That is a criminal offense, which really wasn't even him. And you can't check every time we file a document like you. When you file a document, I don't even have to ask you, Baruch, that any one of your filings, if it's less than 50 pages, you must be ripping your hair out. Am I correct?
Yeah, but let me answer you, okay? We're not talking about the stop and frisks. We're talking about the stuff that affects all of us. You're running a yeshiva. You're now applying for federal loans, okay? And you take the liberty of lying to the federal government to get the federal loan, and you rationalize and you say, look, it's for a legitimate purpose, or you say it's for a mitzvah. But guess what? The courts are not sympathetic to the Orthodox Jew who gets caught lying, engaging in sheker, engaging in fraud and perjury under the Robin Hood theory that because, it's for a good cause. Because lying for a good cause or a legitimate reason is still breaking the law. And you can't throw your hands up and say, well, I don't know the law. The fact is that when you have tax return, and we all have to file tax returns, when you put something under penalty of perjury, you can't feign ignorance and say, hey, I don't know all the tax code. You have to know your signature is on it, and that must mean something.
But did you
and
see,
unfortunately,
did you see that tax code, woman? Did you see that tax code?
Yeah, I don't have to see the tax code. I know it's overwhelming, but I do know that what I report has to be accurate. And when I interview, when I conduct depositions, or I take somebody to trial and I ask, why did you engage in this type of fraudulent activity? The rationalizations is what's killing us. If we stop the rationalizations and realize that when we wear a yarmulke in our business, we have to be more honest than anyone. We have to be more prudent. We have to have an extra measure of responsibility. The world might not like the Jew, and especially in court. We, as an Orthodox Jew, cannot encourage more people to dislike us. And it used to be, and in fact, my grandfather used to tell me this, that when an Orthodox Jew shook hands and said deal, it meant something.
Right.
I ask you, Heshy, if an Orthodox Jew now, and I don't want to sound racist in any way, but does it mean anything nowadays? If it's not in writing,
it's not only a Jew; it's anybody right now. Shame,
right. So I'm just saying we have to stop dehumanizing our fellow citizen. Our victims are not on a lower human level. I actually deposed somebody, a Hasidic Jew, and we had to sue him. And I said, so why did you steal from my client? And the rationalizations, well, he's not exactly Sabbath observant. He's not exactly so. Like in his mind, he devalued my client's money because to this Hasidic Yid, he felt himself on a higher level. It's the mindset that has to change.
Okay, but the way you're talking is like some people, you're right, committed do like a Madoff, or there are people out there that are Ponzi's or lawyers or accountants or architects in every single frame of business that are conning people, and then there are people who make mistakes. I want to tell you another story. Like you said, the tax code. I know you're not there, but if you make a mistake on your tax returns and you calculate, you figure. I know me and my wife Linda, we're already working on our tax returns since last month. We're not allowed to file before the end of February, and we're ready. And still, we made a mistake last year, and we were penalized like $4 or $5 grand. After paying our accountant, showing that we made a mistake, it wasn't really a mistake. It was just a couple of checks and boxes. They said, "You're right. You don't have to pay that extra additional money, but we're fining you the interest that you should have paid during that time." So my accountant said, "Well, pay it, Heshy, $300-400. It's worth it than going through the whole thing." People make mistakes that, like when you're depositioning them on this fraudulent thing, he might have said, "Yes, I owned the house for 20 years, but I actually don't have it in my name because I was a partner, it was a corporation." So in a sense, in your case, you're right, he committed fraud, but he didn't really commit fraud because there's an ethical answer. But you're right, when somebody goes out to cheat somebody, that is right. You are 100% right. It's embarrassing.
Look, let's talk about our culture. We have a two-tiered culture. You shop in Borough Park, pay in check is one price, and pay in cash is a different. Why is that? Again, it's endemic, but it's systemic of a huger problem of where business fraud somehow is okay. Why is it okay? And the truth of the matter is that, and I learned this from criminal defense attorney Ben Brofman, that us Orthodox Jewish lawyers are more observant than any Rosh Hashiva. You know why? Because we observe what's going on in court. We observe what the non-Jewish lawyers and judges are saying about us, about what the clerks are saying. We're observing it. When we go into a kosher restaurant and 50 yeshiva guys are making a mess and not cleaning up, or double parking or triple parking, or abusing handicap spots so that other people can't get to it, and we act like we're superior and we own the place. Okay, so we drive away and we think, well, it's fine, tra-la-la. But I see what that cop is saying. I observe it, and I hear how we are being perceived. We are being perceived as being unethical.
Where do we learn this, bro? When you see a cop talking on his telephone, or we see a cop putting on his light, cutting a red light because he's in a rush, or when you see a cop, and let me just tell you, speeding down the highway. As a matter of fact, I want to read this to you, bro. You're going to like this. There was a high-speed, late-night FDR drive race that went wrong that an NYPD officer killed his friend at FDNY in critical condition because he had a late night and he thought since he's a police officer speeding. When we see them doing it, and you're right, we don't see them maybe doing it too often, but they're able to do it. They're able to set traps and then do themselves racing and speeding. Of course, we're going to say, listen, why can they do it and not us? Why can they triple park, hold up
It's
traffic?
not a good answer. Heshy, it's not a good answer because we have to be truthful and full of integrity independently of whether other people are doing it.
But you know, even when we are truthful, and I promise you, I see people try their best and still they get screwed. Still they get ticketed. I see, and I promise you.
My concern is that way of thinking promotes unethical behavior because you rationalize and say, hey, if 5 people on the street are acting improperly, then I can do it as well.
I know.
And
I feel bad. I feel
that's
bad.
not the way.
I know you're right, and I'm wrong when I'm telling you. But if I don't do it, because I seen how New York City, and again, I'm going to go back to my city. We go to fight the city, and I go to administrative court cases all the time. And I see my city. We go there, and they give us violations, and not one. They've tripled the fines. De Blasio he found a new way of taxation by citation. I keep repeating this to people. He actually taxes us by just raising our fines. He went from 100 to 500 to 2,000, now 10,000. When we're able to figure out a way to comply, he changes the law again. Well, I told you 10 hours. Now I need a 30-hour course. When we do all our 30-hour courses.
Let me go back.
But I want to just finish it. But before you, I want to just finish it. These laws that they keep changing on us, they get so crazy, so egregious, so terrible that we can't keep up. That we have to figure out a way around it. And when we figure out a way, the city, your government, your employees, your judges, all find a way to screw us and find a way to punish us. But go ahead.
Yeah, but let me go around that. You know, you mentioned Madoff. I have to bail people out all the time of financial messes. They get involved in a hedge fund that's a scam or a Ponzi scheme that's a scam. And I tell them all the time, what interest rate were they offering you? 36%, 45%. And I say to them, didn't you have an internal compass telling you that if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true? Why were you so motivated by greed? Didn't you realize something was wrong? Again, it bleeds
so
into
because I didn't use my common sense, I should be punished?
Not because you should be punished. Well, yes, I'm not necessarily punished, but if you get defrauded by that crook, I'm not saying you deserve to get defrauded, but if I'm your lawyer and I ask you to consult with me before you do anything, and you went ahead and you rolled the dice with a gangster or a Ponzi scheme artist, and you didn't bother consulting with your lawyer, your accountant, your rabbi, your wife, then you know what the objective comment is over lunch? Hey, buddy, you had it coming to you. Why did you think that you're going to get such a huge return? And that's the harsh reality.
You know a good con man. You know a good con man when he speaks well, and I've seen them. When they're good, there's nothing you could do. I mean, when their mouth runs, a good salesman could sell, like you heard, ice in the ocean,
in hell,
right? He can say.
Listen, we have such things as affinity fraud, where people use the confines of a shul and a shtibel and a yeshiva, where they sucker you and seduce you into investing with them because they're so erlich and they shuckle during davening and they dress so piously on Shabbos. But yet, money is money, and when you look at the numbers and you invest and you don't take the proper caution to secure your investment, to document your investment, how many times, I could probably tell you hundreds of lawsuits that I've been involved in where the parties didn't bother to commit the agreement in writing. They preferred to stay silent. There was always a shtick. There was always a drag. And the truth of the matter is that even with Madoff, those victims, listen, you can't stop a professional con artist from conning you, but you can take actions to protect yourself. And if you live in the gray area world, and if you live in the world of shtick, where you're always, every cholamoid, you're looking at another quick, get-rich-quick scheme, and I tell every single one I know that this concept of shortcuts is a myth, that there is no express elevator to the penthouse of success. Wow. You want to make money, work hard, but don't jump at every knavish shtick, insurance shtick, this shtick. Every time Cholamoid guys come back from Israel, from Kollel, they hear about investing their chasana money on the latest shtick. We're so quick to run to the shtick and the dray rather than just pursue legitimate parnasa. And I think we have to change the way we think. We have to stop running to the game.
Okay, I hear you, and now I want to change. I want to change direction with you. I want to go on the national scale. Since you're a lawyer, and I know again you're only civil and you don't, but you do know criminal. Your president that we like, he's a smart man. He's a billionaire, correct? The man has done business all over the place. I mean, do you see how much trouble he's in? I mean, is he just stupid, or did he purposely did he commit these crimes? I believe that not only was he tricked or they tried to set him up, there was nothing there against him. The Schiff guy is setting him up. Nadler, who's a fat little dummy Nazi, I think, a capo. I know you don't like me saying it, but I'm saying it to you. But again, they're going after my president, who actually is trying to save this country, trying to do business the right way. Like you just said, hey, if you see something is wrong or you're asking for too much, you better back out. Trump went over to Ukraine and said, listen, man, you have a guy there trying to screw us. You're on his committee. He's on your board. He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars. He doesn't deserve to be there. It's my job as president to oversee it. And again, now we're all after to get him because I know, like this lady Acosta, we have this crazy lady Cortez, a congresswoman, who shut down our beautiful Amazon that was going to bring us billions of dollars. And she says the reason why we're going after Trump is we just don't want him elected. We know he'll win, but this is the only way around it. So again, what do you tell me about this? That Trump is stupid? That he made all these mistakes? He didn't.
Not at all. He's the best. He's the best president this country has ever had.
So why are we going to get criminal charges against him?
Hold on. Anyone can bring criminal charges. Whether they stick at the end of the day is a different story. The fact that anyone can file a lawsuit means nothing. The question is, what happens at trial? Anyone can open somebody up in a surgery. The question is, can you stitch them up and cure the problem? Anyone can engage in a witch hunt, in a political witch hunt. You saw what happened with Justice Kavanaugh. The entire Congress over there, the Senate, they were out to get him. And at the end of the day, he was vindicated. At the end of the day, President Trump will be completely vindicated. He will go down as the greatest president this country has ever seen. He is the greatest friend of Israel. Just the other day, he announced that the settlements are not illegal. He's recognized Yerushalayim as the capital. He's acknowledged Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. He's cut off the PLO funding. Quite frankly, any American Jew who is not voting for Trump is, in my opinion, is the one who has to have his head examined. He shows tremendous disloyalty to Israel and our country by not supporting President Trump. No. But that's not here nor there, Heshy.
But again, President Trump has the money, the power, the backing, the friends. Kamala Harris, this wacko who's running for president, she also said, well, I was a DA when he comes out. I would have gone after him. See, Trump is a guy that can afford Baruch Cohen, that can afford Ben Brafman. A guy like me, if they come after me, like Roger Stone, he was found guilty. And you know what he was found guilty of? Lying to Congress that he should have never gone in front of to begin with. But again, right. you bring these guys up, they get nervous. Of course they're going to be scared. And what did they get him on lying? Here's
the thing. Learn the lesson from President Trump. Do not be bullied by the establishment. Okay? Do not be bullied. Do not confess to a crime that you didn't do. Stand up and fight for your rights. Someone hits you, you hit them harder.
And when we
don't take the nonsense.
When we don't and we lose, we're dead. But so if the way you're
What's
talking,
your alternative?
So I hear right now, Nancy Pelosi is asking him to come to speak, and my boy Donald Trump is actually thinking on going before Congress to testify. You as a lawyer would tell him no way, right?
I don't know enough to comment whether he should or not, but look, Donald Trump has the best legal minds in the country advising him. Just interesting. People talk about how these innocent, these banks, these congressmen, they're killers. They're mercenary killers. They eat us up for lunch. They destroy families with foreclosures, insurance companies. Wow. They're the most corrupt business in the world. You pay them money, and they never come up with the policy when you need it, okay? And they're always chiseling those that are harmed. I have no compassion for these corrupt entities. And quite frankly, Trump is a beacon of truth and honesty, blowing through all of the nonsense of the Obama presidency, what, God forbid, could have been the Hillary Obama third
Right.
presidency.
I agree. I
And,
agree with
and
you.
he is not intimidated at all, which is my approach to litigation. No matter how big the adversary is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. When it comes to court, you get a fair shot. They get a lawyer to speak. You could have your lawyer to speak. And in your instance, Heshy, you could probably draw circles around 50 lawyers. You're so good.
I want you to know what the judge was asking over there when I was there. She says, "Wow, just give me a flip." He says, "You're pretty good. You did your research." I said, "I know, because most lawyers are not you, but again, I love you. Most lawyers, I believe, are dummies, and we can beat them in a head-to-head fight because they're not logical. They're very research. They look at the codes, they look at the laws, and
I find that most lawyers are arrogant and they overlook things.
Correct. And they don't understand what it is to have a heart. When we go to court, my company, we try to win. Okay, we're administrative law, and we win 90% of our cases because we go in there prepared. We go in there with a heart, and we go in not just to knock it out the first. And we will fight the city. We keep fighting the city and adjourning the city because they play the same game with us, and we've learned to do that. But a lot of lawyers, I see a lot of lawyers. I am, but a lot of
be fair.
Right, but a lot of lawyers just go in there and say, "Listen, win, lose, or draw, I don't care. I'm getting my money, and that's it." When I price out a client now, I have to price out not just that win, lose, or draw, what I'm doing for him. I have to price out how long I might get screwed being on the case, even though I might get out of it quickly. Sometimes I might
have the same problem.
Yeah,
we have the same fair.
And it's not fair because our government, and I know you're telling us the laws, but we can't stop them. They keep changing the laws. And Baruch, you lawyers who are the first ones who understand the laws should stop them. Should say, no, you can't just change legislation without explaining to the people. And us dumbbell people don't even understand what's going on.
Well, you have to have courage, and you have to be willing to speak up for something that isn't right. And you are an outspoken voice. You speak for the downtrodden, and you should be complimented. But I find that, a lot of people that I speak to lack the courage and the confidence. And sometimes they think that being aggressive, sometimes they get abrasive or they get arrogant. And that's not the way to go. I'm not in the world of politics. I really can't really comment. But in the world of litigation, you want to have a lawyer who believes in the passion of your case, is willing to stand up to the most horrible of adversaries, and and drink coffee afterwards calmly, as if nothing happened.
You don't see too many of them, and that's my problem. That's really my issue. I mean, I 5 years sometimes. I've been in a case 5-6 years, and I just have to give up. Matter of fact, instead of me winning the case, I actually paid to get out of it because it's just too crazy. And I see it with a lot of people in my community, a lot of younger people struggling, a lot of people giving up. And I try to tell them, don't give up. Let's keep fighting. Let's figure out a way. I have a couple of lawyers and my nephew that we do pro bono cases. We help the schools, the mosques, some poor people. But again, there's only so much we can do. And I feel, and you're right, I agree to fight back. That's why I'm running for city council, by the way, Baruch. And I'm going to win the next election because when I get into that office, I don't know if you watch, we have a channel called the City Council. It's really boring, but when I get on that channel, you're gonna have a lot of fun. You might not want to listen to me, Baruch, because my words are not gonna be so clean then. But I love you. You're really wonderful. Why aren't you in criminal law? I mean, I'm sure you're very well versed in it.
Well, I did one criminal trial. It was a murder case, and we got it down to voluntary manslaughter. But and I second chaired it. But I'm having too much fun right now. I tell people that being a trial attorney is the most fun you could have wearing a suit. I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy helping people. I'm now prosecuting a wrongful death case. I'm prosecuting defamation cases. And I defend as well. And I also have a tremendous volume of work in Beis Din, by the way. And that is a fascinating world in and of itself.
Yeah, explain it. How are you? That was going to ask you a question. How do you, and don't get me wrong, how do you, a lawyer, have a right to go to Beis Din? Isn't there like the rabbi and you have to be specially...
No, not at all. But they didn't enjoy when a lawyer presents the case. We are skilled at presenting cases. We organize... I just had a
but
trial.
They have a different set of codes. Like it's not like regular court where you have to. There's certain rules how to.
It's more informal. It's more informal. But you know what? These are fact finders, like any judge, like any arbitrator. They want to hear the story, and the rules are much more relaxed. Yes, there's no objection based on hearsay or relevance, but nevertheless, these are the ones that. And I've done like over 85 trials already in Beis Din, all the way to verdict. And I can tell you that all the stories you'll hear about corruption, I have never seen it. Not one case that I have dealt with. The Dayanim that I have dealt with were highly intelligent, highly motivated, highly ethical. They gave everyone as long as it took to tell their story. And at the end of the day, it might not, you might not like the result. There's a winner and a loser, like in any case. But you know that the Beis Din in Los Angeles, they actually interview the parties upon the conclusion of the case. Before you go home, do you feel that you've got a fair trial? Do you know that every single time I hear the party say, yeah, it was a great experience?
Wow.
So if you go in with the right lawyer.
But you still have also that you guys postponed. I mean, sometimes Beis Din cases, I know, go on 2-3 years as well.
Yeah, but that should not happen, truthfully. That's when you have an inexperienced Beis Din, or when you have, hey, they're getting paid, for every session, and there's it's a runaway train. And those situations are the exception, not the norm. Normally, a trial I could usually get if I file a lawsuit, I can't get a trial in 5 years. But if I initiate a Beis Din case, I can have a trial within 4 months.
Wow. See, you are the lawyer we want, but there's nobody. You see, you just said before, Chil Hashem business, you're the guy that we want every lawyer to be like. But I promise you, and I've dealt with thousands of lawyers over my 40-something years, and I barely find guys like you. I find 1 or 2 good guys like you, but most of you guys are not out there like you. I just don't understand why a lot of lawyers, and don't get me wrong, are not ethical. Don't actually do their research. Don't care. Look at you, how you go, you're researching, you actually care about it. And some of these lawyers just don't. They just go in.
And I wear a yarmulke in court.
Wow. That's beautiful. I love you. You're a good man, Baruch. And
I want to answer your question real quick, okay? Unfortunately, the only role models our Torah community puts in front of our kids are the Rosh Hashivas with the beards and the Rebbes, etc. I think the time has come for Frum Balabatim, who have been learning in yeshiva and were Kovea Itim on a very high level for the last 50 years, okay? We have something to offer. And I think the time has come, not this Askan concept that you keep hearing, because I have no idea what an Askan is, to be honest with you. But I'm talking about from solid B'nai Torah, who are doctors, lawyers, judges, business owners, who are following the rules, okay, to step up and be the role models for a lot of kids. When I speak at high schools, okay, the impact is extraordinary because they're so used to tuning out when a rabbi gets up to speak, another rabbi. But when it's and I'm not clean-shaven, but when it's a clean-shaven lawyer in a great suit, smelling with great cologne, speaking their language, their jargon, suddenly there's an immediate connection. And a lot of kids say, you know what, I want to be like you, and that's not saying in a bragging way. That's because role models need to surface in our community who are God-fearing, successful professionals, where the only example that we show our kids is the Rav who's running yeshiva. By the way, when we're told that the ideal shidduchim are a guy learning in Kollel, I think we're selling our daughters short. Why is that?
Yeah.
There's plenty of great, solid shidduchim of guys working who we should be encouraging such shidduchim. There should not be a 2-tiered status, an A+ status and an A- status, okay, where the people, those who are privileged to devote their time and appreciate the primacy of Torah, great, but don't demean and create a subculture and a subclass of people who are working and portray us as the secondary citizens. I reject that notion, and I can see from the experience when I speak to hundreds and hundreds of kids, in Los Angeles and in Southern California, the impact is incredible.
Wow. You are thank you, Baruch, for coming on my show. You're just a wonderful man. I can't wait till you come to New York so I can buy you dinner and actually hear you laugh face to face, because you're the only one that's ever laughed at my joke. I don't care if I can afford you or not. I'm going to find a way, Baruch.
Actually, you were very entertaining back in Camp Tarvadas and in the yeshiva that you didn't want to name.
I love you. You're a wonderful boy. Thank you so much for coming on my show. And I want to hear you again. And when you get to New York, you better show up at our show so we can have more time together.
Very good. Look forward to it.
You too, my brother. Thank you.
You will. Bye-bye.
That was Baruch Cohen, everybody. An intelligent, a wonderful man. And we're going to take a bunch of calls now. I'm going to go one after the next. Here is a man who's experienced, a man who, this is what a lawyer has to be like. But I know a lot of you guys, and you heard what he says. He's not giving you any slack. because you didn't do your research. He's not giving you any slack. You're right. You were conned. You were tricked. He feels bad for you. But the point is, why didn't you call up a Baruch Cohen? He's too expensive. You're right. You're right. But you know what? The losses, like he said, are too great. And I wish there was more of him. Anyways, I'm going to take a bunch of calls. Hello, you're on the air with Heshy. How are you?
Hello, Heshy. How are you?
Hello, Rachel. How are you? Where are you? You're not here.
I'm on the runway. We came in late, but I do want to tell you, I actually have friends who experience.
You got to shut off your radio, Leah. Rachel, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Rachel.
Hello.
You got to shut off your background, Rachel.
Okay. Hello.
Yes. Hello. We're on there with Heshy. We lost Rachel.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, hello, Big H. This is Eddie from Dyker Heights.
Hi, Eddie. How are you?
All right. Listen, that lawyer was terrific. And and if you don't mind me commenting as an outsider, what he was saying is, not to be derogatory, people in that area take risks because they with the gray area and they put themselves in jeopardy because they think they can do things that they really can't. So and overall his comments I thought were terrific, including the ones that were foolish enough to listen to Mr. Madoff. If that guy promises you that kind of money, in fact, he was always promising 10% to most people. They should have known that at that time that was impossible. If it's too good to be true, it's either crooked or it's a lie. So I thought he was terrific.
I have a question for you, Eddie. You know, there's a lot of stockbrokers or money investors saying, listen, if you invest in this tech fund, and I'm telling you now, I'm getting all these calls, you'll make 20%. And they show you histories and they show you paperwork and the way they put it together. I mean, a dumbbell like me, Eddie, I will fall for it. Now, according to Baruch Cohen, hey, Heshy, you were stupid. You didn't go to your lawyer. No, I'm an investor. I'm a smart guy. I see everybody else making money in the market. You're right. Somebody got me into it. I'm foolish.
No, Heshy, he said, listen, Warren Buffett, okay? Warren Buffett, if he doesn't understand it, he doesn't go into it. So you rather that you miss an opportunity on the rare chance you do because you'll avoid a hell of a lot of trouble. If it's too good to be true, it's either crooked or a lie.
I got you. Again, Baruch Cohen is a very smart man. And again, you know, sometimes some of us were struggling so bad. We're on the cusp. We're down to our last break, or nobody's giving us a job, or nobody's giving us a deal. We see something that's too good to be true. We grab it. I know, I know a lot of guys. You know, people call me all closures, or why can't I buy a foreclosure building? And sometimes because they see a lot of these other guys buying it, or a lot of these big lawyers screwing up, you heard what Baruch Cohen said, and they end up screwing other people out of their homes and buildings, and they make a lot of money. So other people join, they call me up, Heshy, do you know foreclosure? You know, a good deal. I have a lot of money behind me. All day long, I'm getting these calls. And I tell them no. I say, buy a building, buy a house, pay a little bit more, put in your time. Yes, like Warren Buffett, he buys it and he holds it over 30, 40, 50 years. And then, of course, it goes up. You might not make as much, but you're not the big score. You know, that's the way it works. But again, sometimes people are so desperate that they're willing to do anything to have a break. And I feel bad. You're right, Eddie.
Can't be that. Listen, I hope you get him on again because his common sense was terrific. His insights into some of the Orthodox Jewish culture was terrific. I love the guy.
I like him. The only problem that I have with him is that he's too tough on us. He is one of those guys that actually does what he says, and he doesn't have to have mercy for a guy like me who messes up. But the truth of the matter is, there are people that trick us. I see it every day. I have people coming into me. I see the prosecution and lawyers or my city agencies tricking and lying to my citizens that I have to fight. I just want you to know there's an organization called the Mayor's Task Force. Okay, yes. Okay. They are like actual Nazi stormtroopers, and you have to treat them like cops, because if you're disrespectful in any way. Matter of fact, tomorrow I'm going to testify against 2 of these lying pig inspectors. And what they do is they come to your job site, they shut you down, they make you suffer for 6 months till they get to come down to inspect, and you send them all the paperwork, emails. I have emails and tons of paperwork proving that everything is done correctly. Finally, they decide to come and they say to you, okay, everything looks good, but this is no good. I said, so just we'll fix it. Just give us a break. No, I want you to fix it. I said, but till you come back in 6 more months. Anyways, we tell them what should we do. They tell us what to do. And we actually do what they tell us to do. When we do exactly like remove a kitchen, fix a wall, they come back. They say, well, you didn't do it the proper way. I said, what do you mean we did the proper way? We followed the code. You didn't file the proper paperwork. We said you told us to do it with the old paperwork. No problem. We're going to give you another penalty. Pay it and we'll let you go. I said, that's not the way it works. We didn't get the new penalty. And this is the way. And I'm going tomorrow to testify against 2 lying inspectors.
I wish you luck.
I have a documented videotape. Matter of fact, now I videotape my inspections and I have the paperwork that's going to prove it. And you know what's going to happen? The city's going to find a way to beat us and change the codes and laws. And
Be positive.
I know, but Baruch Cohen doesn't understand. I always win, but the point is Baruch Cohen doesn't understand that we are up against a wall that if we don't have soldiers like him, we're dead.
Listen, and one more thing, Heshy.
Yeah.
He agreed with you about President Trump.
I know. I love him. Don't you just love him?
Because I know one other teacher of me who retired, who is not an Orthodox Jew, and he can't stand Trump, and his neighbors are Orthodox Jews. He lives in Midwood. I only wish they would listen to your friend. Was it Borkin? I think I heard that was the name I heard.
Baruch Cohen.
Okay, but I certainly wish so because that would have a very nice outcome. He may not win in New York, but he would look much better.
Well, I was fighting with somebody on Facebook the other day, and he said to me, I said, you idiot, you didn't vote for Trump. Now you regret, and you're not going to vote for him again. You voted for the wrong person. You wanted Hillary. Don't you have foresight that Hillary was an idiot to begin with? Thank God.
Evil and crooked.
Yeah, and a husband too. But, we got lucky that they didn't destroy this country, and I'm so happy that Hillary was not elected. And this idiot Warren, you see, what Baruch doesn't understand is you're right. We have to follow the laws and the codes. But when you have a guy like de Blasio that gets up and says, listen, I got to tax the people 70%. I got to tax him a guy like Bill Gates, at the end of the day with $110 billion, he'd only be left with $10 billion. I mean, you're right. That's a lot of money, but he had to earn 110. You think he would go through all that trouble to do that? You know that he'd get exhausted and tired and fail, and he wouldn't have the money to cover it because he's always being taxed. He wouldn't even make the 100.
All right. Well, bear in mind, Mr. de Blasio his reputation is very, 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 very low, and I think it's going to sink lower.
I can't wait.
In the meantime, keep floating.
I will, my brother. Thank you so much for calling into the show.
Oh, listen, and I thought your joke was funny.
I love you. See, I'm 2 for 2 today. Wow, fine. Thank you. Bye, baby. Anyways, everybody, these are, you heard today, a very serious show, a very serious matter, and I'm going to go on. Again, what Baruch didn't answer me was on the marijuana issue. I mean, I think that's a civil matter because it should be in some kind of a court. We should be suing the government, saying, no, the law was the reason it was changed. Now you want to make money, and again, that's a money issue that it shouldn't pass. These marijuana laws, and now Nadler, our crazy wacko congressman, who's so busy trying to get rid of Trump, is now all of a sudden, I'm going to make legal marijuana, and 11 states have it legal. In California, where Baruch is from, they're losing money. They're not making money. It's hurting us. They have more cops, more people tracking the black market, and their taxes are not making money. It's not being profitable for the government, and people are smoking drugs and getting sick. They're crying about vaping. I was reading an article that a second guy in New York City died from New York vaping-related death. The vaping-related death is because it was some fake marijuana in there. It wasn't because of the nicotine. It was a marijuana. I don't know what story they're telling you, but I've been vaping for, I don't know, at least 7 or 8 or 9 years. Nothing happened to me. Of course, I've stopped now because my wife threatened me of 30 years, And by the way, everybody, I was watching a show of all these famous stars that have been together long. One star is 19 years, and they're like making it like Oprah Winfrey, 30 years. It's like a great success to be married 20, 30 years. I don't think so. I think that's when you get married, and don't get me wrong, people are supposed to get divorced if they can't live together or things go wrong. And not every time people split up in business do 2 souls or 2 people able to match each other. I'm married for 29, 30 years. I have a family a second family that has joined us. It's not so easy to mesh 2 different kinds of cultures and families together. And we've done it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of heartache. And That's my point to you, that just because you're taking credit for doing 30 years, that is your responsibility. When you get married, it's your job to stay married for 40, 50, 60 years. I want to be married another 30 years, and I'm willing to fight with my wife. Today, me and Linda had an argument that the window shade that I bought doesn't go up and down. And I was saying to myself, am I going to fight with her? Linda, you're right. I'm going to go out and buy another one for $49. That's what I'm going to do. And these are the things that we have to give in sometimes. And it's like anything in this life, that you have to be able to fight for the right. And like Baruch said, I'm against marijuana. I'm against it because it's a danger. And again, they're coming up, they're legalizing marijuana and they're stopping vaping. Why don't you figure out a way to make vaping more safer? Put together a way that because vaping helps you quit smoking. Let's little kids who are 15, 16, 18 not smoke cigarettes, because they seem to be able to get cigarettes whenever they want. So to have a vape I believe is better than a cigarette that puts fire in your lungs. But again, we're just going to the tax ways, and it's pure stupidity in my eyes. Also, I want to give you a little cute story just for you, because everybody's telling me they're not scared of the cops. I'm scared of the cops because they make up whatever they want. Like the building department, they do whatever they want. They're able to get, I forgot to ask this to Baruch, people who don't want to let people into their homes. It's my right not to let you into my home. It's my right to say whatever you want. Sometimes a cop stops you and says, hey man, you can't stand over there. There was a guy who was in Florida. He went to court and he wore a shirt that said "F you, the police" in the courtroom, and he won the case. You know what happened? He was filming a cop kicking somebody on the side of the road. The cop threatened him and made him go away, and threatened him. So he drove away. A couple hours later, the cop saw him in his car, pulled him over and said, "Oh, your blade is being blocked." And he gave him a ticket. I mean, these are what the cops do. They think they have power. We have police officers in this New York City that think that they have the power to do whatever they want. Yes, I'm not calling them Nazis, but you have a lot of them that are nuts. You have a lot of cops that have mental issues, and they actually don't belong to be police officers. If 10 of them kill themselves, how many more percentage-wise out of the 35,000 are a danger to us? How many of them are out of shape and fatter than me that shouldn't be police officers? It's just not correct. Right now, Mayor de Blasio in the city are taking all the government employees and telling them, well, I want you, when you see somebody mentally ill or homeless on the street, I want you to take care of it, call it in, or handle the situation. You're telling me that you're a building department inspector working in construction, and you have the knowledge to call in or determine that somebody's homeless, or make a call and try to get them arrested or pulled off the street, or they're a danger? You barely know what to do with your job. You're a clerk behind an office tank. You're a social worker. You have no experience, only in doing paperwork cases. You need to be a psychologist. You need to work in mental health issues. Our councilman, one of them, Chaim Deutsch, is on a committee to oversee mental health. $1 billion was given to de Blasio's wife and some kind of things to train city employees. How do you train a city employee that's an engineer in construction to start working in mental health? How do you train a garbage man who picks up garbage to deal with mental health issues? I mean, cops are so busy giving tickets and they're trained with quotas. All of a sudden, they're able to run and deal with mental health issues and grab a guy off the street. In the stop and frisk policy, what Baruch didn't understand was sometimes there was a guy agitated or not feeling well, and I saw it, and they pulled him over and they started feeling him up. And he said, please leave me alone. He started to get agitated. All of a sudden, they arrested him for disorderly conduct, or they detained him and they arrested him for not giving ID or cooperating with them. Hey, you should have never pulled me over. But the stop and frisk law, which nobody had a right to stop, automatically gave these cops the power to punish us, or if they were in one of their bad moods, or they had a fight with their wife, or if a lady cop felt and she wanted to show that she's a man, she went out and punished a guy. And this was wrong. These are the policies. And Mr. Bloomberg, who got up this week and said, oh, I'm sorry for punishing the entire city of New York for 8 years I've been in power. It's not only de Blasio and Bloomberg, it's also that idiot, the Kelly that was the police chief. You're the police chief, and your boss gives you a bad law. You don't follow it. I have a team around me of workers that I ask to prepare me to go on cases. And when I'm wrong and we argue, you should hear in my office screaming matches. My clients laugh at us because they hear screaming matches of me and my employees trying to find out the right path. And at the end of the day, we figure it out. If you tell them to do something wrong, it's not that they shouldn't do it. They have to explain it to you that it's wrong and you're going to hurt people. And that's not the way it is. I want everybody to thank you for listening to my show. I hope I didn't preach on too much. Rachel, I'm sorry I lost you. I don't know. You must have been on the plane and taking off. I'm going to give I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsors. I forgot to shout out to my delicious granddaughter, Mira Nava, who had 102 fever today. And I hope you feel better. I know you're only 8 months. January is her birthday. So she's 10 months already. And me and her are going to have a birthday a day apart. You're all invited. Oh, yes. Thanksgiving next week, which I'm going to tell everybody is going to be in Sheepshead Bay. We're going to be feeding a lot of people. I know you guys are not going to come, but if you're hungry, you need a meal, you have nowhere to go, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you the address. Come crash. We're going to be in Sheepshead Bay on Avenue X and Brigham Street. You pop in. We'll give you something. I promise you we have enough that we'll be able to give out. Yes, oh, Hesh, whatever, if 100 people show up, trust me, we have more than enough. They give us to take home. Anyways, everybody, I want to thank Chamula Jewelers that are located at 944 Kings Highway, 718-336-1980. 944 Kings Highway, 718-336-1980. Old jewelry, new jewelry, freshen up jewelry. They're wonderful. Tahila Tishler, ttstyles.com. She helps you with your wigs, your makeup. She'll travel. She's wonderful. Of course, you're going to have to pay her for the traveling, but she's really well priced and she does beautiful work and she's going to make your party or simcha very, very fun and entertaining and happy. And she'll make you feel good. You also have 777 Barbershop. Please go to him, 4225 18th Avenue. Tell him Heshy sent you from the Just Enough Heshy Show. 718-484-2499 to make an appointment. 718-484-2499. And don't forget Green Line Building Solutions located at 5318 16th Avenue, 718-871-0382. We fight the city out of the way. Thank you for listening to my show, everybody. You've been great. Thank you for the callers I couldn't pick up. Have a good night. See you next week, right before Thanksgiving. Thank you. Good night.
The preceding program.
В Нью-Йорке 10 часов вечера.